The Story Dragon podcast presents the best camping trip ever. 10-year-old Alex was buzzing with excitement. He was going camping for the first time with his best friend Ethan's family. The car was packed with tents, sleeping bags, and a cooler full of good food. "You're gonna love it, Alex. Camping is the best. Just wait until you have breakfast in the woods." Alex was a little bit curious. "Breakfast? It's just eggs and sausage, right?" Ethan looked at him mysteriously. "Trust me, everything tastes better when you're camping. You'll see." The drive to the campsite was magical. Winding roads led them through thick green forests, past sparkling rivers, and over rolling hills. It was a long drive, but it was beautiful. Ethan's dad pointed out the most interesting sights along the way. "See all those tall pine trees? They're great for firewood. Speaking of which, do you know which 3 types of wood you're going to need to make a good campfire?" "3 kinds?" Alex asked. "That's right. First, you're going to need tinder, like dry leaves or small twigs, just anything small that can catch that first spark. Then, you'll need to add the kindling, and that's small sticks that will burn easily, different sizes usually. Finally, you're going to find the big logs, and they need to burn slowly and keep the fire going throughout the night." Alex listened carefully, excited to help build their campfire. They arrived at a forested campground with tall trees and a beautiful sparkling lake. The sun shone off of the water, and the cool shadows under the trees shielded them from the blazing heat of the day. As Alex got out of the car, he took a deep breath of the fresh air. It was so different from the city they had driven from. It was amazing. "The first thing we need to do is set up the tent," said Ethan. "We have to do it before it gets dark, or we'll need to do it with the flashlights. The mosquitoes can get in when we're trying to set it up at night, so it's better to do it now." Ethan chose the spot, a slightly sloping area of land with no roots. He kicked all the rocks and the sticks out from under the tent so they wouldn't have to sleep on top of them, and so it wouldn't put a hole in the bottom of the tent either. The land was sloping so that the water would run away from the tent if it rained, and it wouldn't flood. Alex had never set up a tent before, so Ethan had him first assemble the long tent poles with the elastic cord inside of them to hold them together. He fit the pieces together until he had made a very long and flexible pole, just like the one that Ethan was holding. Then, they guided the poles through the loops on the tent so they overlapped and made a huge X over the flat tent as it laid on the ground. "Now comes the fun part," said Ethan. They pushed the poles and the tent began to rise up from the ground, becoming a dome, and then they hooked the poles to it to keep it in place. The tent had a screen on the top of it to let the heat out and so they could get fresh air. "Now we put on the rain fly so we won't get wet," said Ethan. They strapped another piece of nylon with some rubber cords to the top of the tent, covering the screen and making it watertight. Only one last thing to do. Ethan took out some small little metal poles called stakes. "Let's hammer these around the tent so it can't blow away." They took turns using a hammer to drive the stakes into the ground through the loops in the tent. Alex hit his thumb with the hammer, but thankfully it was made of rubber, and though it did hurt a little, he was relieved that it wasn't worse. Just as they finished, a strong breeze came off the lake and tried to lift the tent. It swayed and bent, but then popped back into its normal shape. "Wow, we finished just in time. We would have lost the whole tent," said Alex. After setting it up, they gathered firewood, remembering Ethan's dad's advice, and grouped the wood into 3 different piles. Smallest, then sticks in various thicknesses, and finally the big chunky logs. They broke up the sticks so that they'd fit into the fire pit, which was a huge metal ring the campground had put there to contain it. Soon after they had finished with this, it began to get dark. Alex was getting tired from putting up the tent and collecting the firewood from all over the woods. He needed a moment to rest. As he sat down on the old weathered picnic table, a mosquito landed on his arm and bit him. "Ugh, mosquitoes!" he yelled. Ethan's dad laughed. "Go put on some long sleeves and pants, guys. The bugs are about to come out. There's some bug spray on the table." He set to work on building the campfire for them. "The smoke from this will probably keep away the bugs. They don't like it very much. Then we'll have s'mores." After they had their clothes on to protect them from the bugs, they each took a flashlight to keep them with them so that they could move around the campsite in the dark and make their food. Ethan took out everything for the s'mores. "Okay, Alex, I'm going to show you how to make the perfect s'more. I'll show you my secret technique." Ethan smiled broadly. He'd never seen him so excited. These were going to be good. "We have graham crackers, marshmallows, and chocolate. First, take the marshmallow and put it on the stick." Ethan's dad had shaved points into the end of some long sticks with his knife. They were the perfect length to roast marshmallows over the fire. "Hang the marshmallow over the fire, but don't put them in. It'll catch on fire. We want it to be nice and tan." Gently, he rotated his marshmallow on the stick, and Alex could see it beginning to change shape and becoming a little tan here and there. He tried, and then his marshmallow burst into flame. "Oh no, you got too close!" The marshmallow promptly fell off into the fire. "Here, try another, not so close this time." Alex copied Ethan and managed to get a perfectly tanned marshmallow on his second try. "Nice! Now put 3 little squares of chocolate on the graham cracker and lay the marshmallow on the stick on top." Ethan demonstrated with a plate on his lap. He put the second graham cracker sandwich top on the marshmallow and then pulled the stick out from it, leaving the warm, gooey, and perfect sandwich. It was difficult, and Alex got sticky marshmallow all over his hands, but he managed, and it was worth it. There was only one crack running along the top of the graham cracker, but it was still completed. "Okay, now let's take a bite together," Ethan said. The boys took their first bite of the s'mores and closed their eyes. They tasted amazing. Just the s'mores alone were reason enough to have come on this trip. They were the perfect combination of crispy, sweet, soft, and warm. "Told you they'd be good," said Ethan proudly. After their s'mores, they relaxed and watched the fire as the air became chilly. The warmth from the fire felt great on their legs, and as it burned down, they began to get sleepy. The stars twinkled overhead, and Ethan's dad threw water on the fire. They all went to bed. Inside the tent, Alex snuggled into his sleeping bag, but the sounds of the forest were unfamiliar. "Psst, Ethan, did you hear that?" He got out his flashlight and nervously looked at the wall of the tent. Ethan said, "Alex, it's just an owl. And that rustling, it's probably a raccoon just looking for snacks. The woods are really noisy at night, but they're not scary once you get used to it." Comforted by Ethan's words, Alex soon drifted off to sleep. The next morning, the sun rose, and so did the smell of breakfast cooking over the fire. Nothing beats scrambled eggs and sausage in the fresh air, guys. Come on out and grab a plate. Alex took a bite. Wow, Ethan, you were right. This definitely tastes way better when you're camping. Just as they finished breakfast, the sky darkened and raindrops began to fall. Oh no, rain, said Ethan. No worries, campers. This is just where we test our skills, his dad said. They quickly covered the tent with a tarp and made a cozy space under the pop-up canopy. They moved everything in the camp under the tarp so it wouldn't get wet and then put on their raincoats. Then they played cards and laughed while the rain pattered above them. Camping in the rain isn't so bad, said Alex. By evening, the rain cleared, and it was time to cook dinner. Ethan's dad set a grill over the fire and started flipping the hot dogs to perfection. Dinner's almost ready, guys, he said. But just then, a rustling came from the bushes, and out waddled a small black and white visitor. Ethan whispered, "It's a skunk." Everyone froze. The skunk sniffed the air, clearly interested in the delicious smells. "What do we do?" Ethan's dad whispered, "Stay still, no sudden moves, and definitely no yelling." Slowly, they backed away from the fire, keeping their eyes on the skunk so no one would get squirted. They knew that skunks smelled really bad when they sprayed you, and no one wanted that while they were camping. They reached the car and climbed inside, holding their breath, and slowly closed the door. In one quick motion, the skunk stole a hot dog off the grill and waddled away into the woods. Ethan laughed. That was wild. Literally. I didn't know there were skunks here. And we still have our hot dogs, said Alex. Sure enough, the other hot dogs were still on the grill untouched. Camping is always an adventure, guys. You never know what's gonna happen, said Ethan's dad. As the stars lit up the sky once again, Alex smiled. He had learned how to make the perfect s'more, brave the rain, and face a skunk with courage. And best of all, he discovered that food really did taste better in the great outdoors. Alex found that he really did like camping after all. He couldn't wait to come back with Ethan and his dad again. Hopefully, next time, they'd see another cool animal, but it wouldn't try to steal their dinner. And there you have it, everybody. That's another episode of the Story Dragon podcast. Hope you all liked it and try camping someday soon. Goodbye, everyone.